go to New Orleans, you ought to go see the Mardi Gras. If you go to New Orleans, you ought to go see the Mardi Gras. When you see the Mardi Gras, somebody'll tell you what's Carnival for. Get your ticket in your hand, you wanna go to New Orleans. Get your ticket in your hand, you wanna go to New Orleans. You know when you get to New Orleans, somebody'll show you the Zulu King. You will see the Zulu King down on St. Claude and Dumas. You know you see the Zulu King down on St. Claude and Dumas. And if you stay right there, I'm sure you'll see the Zulu Queen.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome our returning monarchs, our 2012 King and Queen Excalibur the 11th, Mr. Tom Stevens and Ms. J. Renton. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the lighting of the crest. Why should men have all the fun? It's time to bust the myth that men have a market corner on villainy. History has multiple examples of women who have done their fair share of the pillaging, the poisoning, and the pickpocketing. Women have been the lawmakers and the moneymakers and the mischief makers, the haughty, the hot-tempered, and the high and mighty. So why do their dastardly deeds fly under the radar? Because they're simply better at it, my dears. Isn't the greatest thrill of being bad getting away with it? While some of the seductive shysters we meet tonight did indeed pay for their minds, eventually, their deceptions are just too delicious to ignore. And so tonight, we revel in the wicked ways of the Nightingale, the good, the bad, and the lovely. We've invited the Knights of the Round Table and the Ladies of Avalon to join us. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the officers of the crew of Excalibur. the nines. She sweeps it grandly from deck, hips rocking to and fro like boys on the Mississippi. She commands this vessel. We are her crew, and she is renowned for her hospitality. But you dare not cross her, the original riverboat queen. For while the gamblers play their marks, she's holding court on the river. Her intentions are sincere, playing matchmaker, captivating passengers with audacious anecdotes, and festooning a festive ambiance. But make no mistake, this captain always holds the trump card. Ladies and gentlemen, representing the trailblazing riverboat ladies of centuries past, the captain of the crew of Excalibur. Assisting our stunning riverboat captain is another enchantress of the river. The deck is hopelessly stacked against those who encounter her on board as she throws down a double whammy of beauty and wit. Helplessly enthralled by her misty long moat, her tongue is as sharp as the sword Excalibur. You'll never realize you can had until it's too late. Rash, bold, and haughty, this double-dealing dame knows how to make an entrance. Ladies and gentlemen, also representing the saucy and sassy women of Mississippi River vessels, the co-captain of the crew of Excalibur. Outfitted in the grandest finery of a 19th century gentleman, our junior captain represents the glory days of the flashy riverboat gambler. These sharp-dressed men were actually known as sharpers, who used sleight of hand and other tricks to win card games like 21, poker, and 3-card Monte. Ever the charming rapscallion, our young man cuts a dashing figure in order to exceed his marks with false assumptions of wealth and propriety. Oh, he's a rascal, all right, but so charismatic that we are all vulnerable to his enterprising swindles. Ladies and gentlemen, our singular bad boy among tonight's bad girls, the junior captain of the crew of Excalibur. No, 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 harvested coat of Dalmatian spotted fur. The glare in her look, the ice in her stare, you innocent children had better beware, goes her signature song, which also lyricizes Krewe as a spider, the devil, and a bat. This talented prima donna, while also a puppy kidnapper and reckless driver, can at least say that Forbes named her the 13th wealthiest fictional character of all time. She has been repeatedly resurrected in both animated and live-action form, as well as on Broadway. Cruella's singular malevolence has made her one of the most reviled, yet spectacularly fashionable villains of all time. In all of her aristocratic allure, we welcome Mrs. Lois Bashman. It's not easy to be a beloved pirate and plunderer, but Grace O'Malley took roundhousing to such a level of bitch and fierceness that many believe she is the personification of all Ireland. Born in the 16th century to a wealthy family of seafaring traders, Grace defied typical fair-making pursuits to join her father on his expeditions. Caught up in a complex and ongoing game of capture the castle with rival clans and British soldiers, Grace was a brilliant fighter who once poured molten lead from a rooftop onto attacking soldiers' heads. When she wasn't defending castles, this sassy swashbuckler was boarding ships, using her waterways, and demanding taxes for the privilege. Not even the Queen of England could intimidate her. She refused to bow to Elizabeth I during their famous meeting in 1593. Now introducing our very own pirate queen of the Irish Seas, Mrs. Melanie Sharp. 18th century had its Paris Hilton, its Kim Kardashian, and its Marilyn Monroe all rolled into one. Her name was Marie Antoinette. Born in Austrian Duchess, she was married to the Dauphin of France at age 15 and made queen by age 20. Marie Antoinette literally had the most expensive taste in the world. The French despised her for frittering away the country's coffers on haute couture, gambling bets, and billion-dollar decorating. She reportedly plastered the walls of one cottage at Versailles with gold and diamonds. When informed that the typical French peasant could not afford a loaf of bread, her rude reply to let them eat brioche or cake didn't quite go over so well. Antoinette remained proud and defiant during her trial, which, fueled by years of malicious tabloid stories, was a litany of scandalous accusations. Guilty of treason, she headed off into aristocratic infamy in 1793. To the manor board, now presenting in all her grandeur, Miss Luana Naylor. Delilah's wickedness is of biblical proportions. A treacherous temptress who chose to betray Samson over 1,100 pieces of silver offered by his enemies, Delilah nagged Samson to divulge the secret of his supernatural strength. Samson, apparently not denying his proof, finally told him the truth, and Delilah wasted no time executing her malicious man-scalping scheme. She didn't get her own hands dirty, though, calling a servant woman to shear Samson's locks while he lay asleep on her lap. The story of Delilah's dastardly deed has been the subject of paintings, operas, songs, and 6 major motion pictures. She embodies the dangerous strength of women who choose to deceive with little regard for the fatal ramifications of their actions. Please welcome our very own treacherous and cunning femme fatale, Mrs. Victoria Stolarski. Cleopatra had brains, beauty, sex appeal, and a penchant for pearl lace cocktails. Born into a long line of Egyptian pharaohs, she became queen of Egypt at age 18, but realized it would take exceptional feminine wiles to keep her there. She seduced Julius Caesar after smuggling herself into his castle inside a rolled-up carpet, and later became the mistress of Caesar's royal friend Mark Antony. These liaisons produced a son by Caesar and twins by Antony, and her children received their own kingdoms due to their lucky lineage. The original queen of Denial refused to share the throne with her siblings, having one younger brother knocked off in battle, poisoning another, and ordering her only sister killed. She herself went out in a blaze of glory after Antony's suicide, taunting an Egyptian ass until it fatally bit her. Lastly, please welcome our Egyptian enchantress, Dr. Carole. Before we present our royal court this evening, our handsome junior knights will now be presented. Master Preston Douglas Sharp. Master Nicholas Adams. but a wave of your magic wand, you can bring forth the prophecy. Ladies and gentlemen, behold, King Excalibur the 12th. Long live the king! In eager anticipation of the arrival of our queen, the lovely princesses of Avalon will now be presented. Miss Madison Elise Sharp. Miss Paige Ann Cali. The fairest of the fair, Guinevere was the most beloved of all. Her beauty is legendary, her grace unparalleled, her love divine, and her spirit untouched by evil, her dignity unwavering, and her touch as gentle as a flower. She is the epitome of a wife, friend, lover, and queen. She reigns over the Knights of the Round Table, over The captains of the Krewe of Excalibur will now bestow on the king and queen their royal medallions. It is with pleasure that our king and queen will receive honor and special guests this evening. Now being presented to the throne is Queen Excalibur the 11th, Miss Jane Renton. The General Chairman will now make a special presentation to his lovely wife. At this time, the Krewe of Excalibur will also make seat presentations to honored guests. In order for you to fully enjoy the splendor of our Family Gras extravaganza, the Royal Court of the Krewe of Excalibur will now take part in the Grand March. we'll bid you a good night. Ladies and gentlemen,